not equity. Call the meeting to order. First item is approval of the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed. Second is approval of the minutes of October 18th, 2022.
I move that we approve the minutes of October 18th, 2022 as written, presented.
Any questions or about it?
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, number 3. TX 23.01.01A, Amendment Article 11.6-1, buffering and screening of different districts to allow the development administrator to the authority to require a buffer for new development adjacent to existing residential.
Okay, there it goes. Hello, Planning Board. So I'm here today to present TX 23.01.01, new development buffer. We had a rezoning recently for a property off of Stevens Mill Road and Lawyers Road that was passed by the council last meeting, but they rezoned it to MU2. I don't know if you remember Mr. Sergey Desenovich. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but council found and staff found that there was no buffer requirements between mixed-use 2 and conditional zoning properties. Southstone is a existing conditional zoning, single-family residential development, and they really wanted to preserve existing residential, no matter the zoning category. So they directed staff to create a text amendment to protect the buffer with existing residential. So the text amendment addition reads as follows. So it's 11.6-1G, buffers adjacent to existing residential, where buffer requirements between zoning districts are not listed in Table 11.1. The development administrator may require a type A, B, C, or D buffer for new development adjacent to existing residential. So what that means is there are some zoning categories that don't require buffers, and instead of doing a whole new buffer table and bringing that forward, I did a catch-all text amendment that if there are existing residential or next to new developments, we may require a buffer. And it really just depends on case-by-case basis. So, for example, in that mixed-use 2 zoning category up north, requiring a 40-foot buffer makes sense. It's near existing residential. There's a lot more land up there. But if, let's say, someone was developing maybe in their town center, we might not require a 40-foot buffer. The parcels are a little bit smaller. Maybe we would want to require a 5-foot buffer. And I'm leaving that up to my decision or development administrator's decision. Any
Are
questions?
you the development
I am.
administrator?
Yes,
Oh, okay. And you're the director of planning too,
Yes.
or do you just have one?
both.
title now?
I'm both.
Yeah, two titles.
Yeah, because there's only two on staff, so. We kind of have all titles.
Okay.
Bustling city of
Yeah.
Stallings.
I just have a
I'm
quote.
thinking-
What are type A, B, C, and D?
Yeah, so type A is a 40-foot buffer with a 90% opacity, so it's our most intense. So as it goes down, type B is 30 feet, type C is 20 feet, and type D is 5 feet.
Okay, any other questions? Like to make a motion? Someone like to make a motion to approve or deny
Oh,
or defer?
I move that we approve the amendment in Article 11.6-1, buffering and screening of different districts to allow the development administrator the authority to require buffer for new development adjacent to existing residential, by adding G, where buffer requirements between zoning districts are not listed in Table 11.1, the development administrator may require a type A, B, C, or D buffer for new development adjacent to existing residential.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passed.
Okay. Oh, great.
Now, we need
Hello.
a statement of consistency and reasonableness.
put it on. Be
Okay.
a mouthful it's such a mouthful.
Yeah, well, we don't technically have to bring it to planning board. I just like to bring it to planning board because council does it too. So it's up to you guys, if you want to make one.
You don't have to bring it to the planning.
So, sorry about
Notice
interrupting.
of this meeting.
I'm sorry, did you send it?
I didn't get the notice for this meeting.
Okay, I apologize. Let's get together after this meeting. Patrick will get together with you on the best way to contact you.
Well, my email, you got my email, but I didn't get an invitation.
Yeah, I apologize. Let's discuss that after the meeting and we'll fix that. Sorry about that. So regarding the statement of consistency and reasonableness, the state statute doesn't require planning board to make that. We've been bringing it to you, just because it's a formality. The council 100% has to do it. But it's kind of nice to get your feedback as well on the statement of consistency. That's why we bring it to you.
I think it was in that, also in that class.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, they talked about why you'd want to do that as a
So it's
planning
like-
board.
It's like better to do it. They said.
Yeah, it's better to do it, to
Great.
state that if it's unreasonable, why you did that, so then you know.
Yeah, well, let's continue bringing it to planning board. I planned on it. Yep. Billy, yeah, you can go. Sorry about interrupting.
I move that we, they approve the statement of consistency and reasonableness to amend Article 11.6-1, buffering and screening of different districts. And therefore, the planning board hereby recommends that the proposed text amendment is consistent and reasonable with the comprehensive land use plan adopted on November 27th, 2017, based on the goals and objectives set forth in the document of promoting quality development and consistency with all state mandated land use regulations established through NCGS and 160D. The planning board recommends to approve the proposed amendment and stated that the planning board finds and determines that the text amendment is consistent and reasonable with the key guiding principles, goals, and objectives of the comprehensive land use plan for the following reasons stated in the
1 and 2.
1 and 2.
All in favor?
Aye.
Second, okay. Four,
I hand that on the table now.
TX 23.01.02.
No, you have it in, you have it all in here.
Staff has recommended a text amendment to allow for the use of breweries with or without beverage sales into the
We're on this now.
industrial, business center, and town center zoning districts.
Yes, hello, good evening, planning board. So, like you said, I'm going to discuss with you all text amendment 230102. And our request for the planning department here is to allow breweries with or without without beverage sales into the industrial, business center, and and town center zoning districts. So, to give you a little bit of background on this, in the past, the planning department staff have had multiple meetings and phone calls with the residents in the past, or the past several months, expressing interest in developing breweries here in Stallings. Some of these people have wanted Stallings to be their first choice over other municipalities. This also that would help create a better balance in the tax rates that and tax split that we have here in Stallings. Is historically most of the taxes, 80% of them have been focused on and come from residential development and only 20% from commercial. So we'd like to be able to bring that to more of an even balance, maybe not exactly 50-50, but closer to a 50-50 balance. And in the comprehensive land use plan, there are different districts, such as the town center and industrial center districts, that have primary uses that are listed in them. And I believe that this fits into a few of those districts. So in the town center, one of the primary uses, it would be community serving commercial, as a brewery does serve the community. And for the industrial center, those would be for a warehouse, distribution, and sales, as those are also other operations of a brewery. Now going through giving some examples from the zoning districts that are in our development ordinance. So starting off here, we have the James River Building. This is in our town center zoning district. As you can see, this is a little bit of a larger scale operation, and these are all examples, but this first example shows that it's a larger building. This could focus on both production and brewery sales, sales of the beverages. Next, we have a step up, which is at the Business Park in Blindheim Lane, and this is in the Business Center zoning district. This is a little larger scale production potentially, where the focus could be more so on the production as opposed to sales up front, but again, it could do both. And lastly, we have the Industrial Center zoning district. So on Interstate Supplies and Services on 511 Union West Boulevard, and this is the largest of the bunch for the different types of production, and this primarily could be just for production of the beverages as opposed to sales.
That's already there, isn't it?
It is, yes. These are all just different examples of where a brewery could potentially go in sellings. So I just wanted to go around and give some actual examples of what we already have here in town.
Would we be encouraging, in other words, in the town center one, encouraging more of sales and restaurant type of,
Yeah, it would be
Brewery.
to try to better bolster the economy that we have in downtown, as well as create more of a downtown feel and be
Place to
able to
go,
create,
yeah.
a destination for people to go in downtown to have a brewery, things
kids
like
can
that.
play across the street in the park and the adults can go across the street.
Yeah.
And I can walk home.
Right, me too.
It's stumble.
Does this include any kind of food with the brewery inclusion, or?
This text amendment does not include food. I do have one written up in case if that's something you all could be interested in, where we could add another line into our use table to have brewery with food sales.
I just like to eat what I drink, so that's the only reason I
Yeah, I was
asked.
going to say, because you can't, I mean, you
Will
need
this
something.
text amendment not allow food?
No, it wouldn't disallow.
So we have restaurants as an accessory use. So I would say the text amendment doesn't specifically say anything about the restaurant, but we have another line in our text table of uses that are different about restaurants. So you can technically combine those accessory uses, like restaurant. to-
Yeah, like if somebody wanted to do like a brewery with, food and they had meals.
Craft pizzas or whatnot.
This one doesn't
Pizzas
say
and
anything about
hamburgers
food.
and stuff.
No.
This one is just, we already have that restaurant as
That.
accessory use.
So this is just making sure.
Has there
that we-
been any interest shown for something like that?
Interest for like food with?
A brewery.
Yeah.
Most of the interest that we've had has primarily just been breweries and potentially like bringing in things like food trucks and things like that, but nobody has had interest with like wanting to have a full-on kitchen as well, at least not
A
yet.
lot of them start with food trucks and then expand. Yeah.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be opposed to that either.
I wouldn't either.
I love a good food truck.
And doesn't the state liquor license or something, don't they have something to do with food, if you're serving wine and food, or, I don't know. I thought there was something there that, with them, that you had to either have food or, I don't remember what the.
I don't think there's any
There is.
food requirement that
There
you have to
isn't.
have, but I know the licensing for alcohol is strict.
Yeah, there are requirements
you're
there are requirements for the state for alcohol sales and things like that, but nothing, I'm not sure about anything for food.
So
Right.
yeah, there are food permits in place, but that's not something that Stallings deals with.
Yeah.
They would have to go to the county and the state to get permits to the food. We do have that. I'm not real familiar with that because we don't issue those kind of permits.
Did- So there isn't any there's no, nothing in the town that says breweries are allowed in
No, if
Any
I back up,
district?
I can back up right here to the second slide here, and this is a use table, and the one in red, it shows the proposed use right here, and the closest item that we have is line 34, which is highlighted in yellow, which is just bars with or without beverage production accessory. So there's nothing currently in the use table which displays anything about breweries, no.
Okay. And somewhere you have with or without beverage sales, and that means drinking. It doesn't mean selling it to,
That means like
In-house
up there,
pushers.
that means like upfront sales, like it could be a brewery, but like, for example, in the business center zoning district on Blindheim Lane, they may not want to like sell out front, because that's more of like a business park, but they could have the equipment to produce, and they can produce the,
Like production and wholesale kind of
produce
stuff.
there,
Yeah, yeah, and sell it.
and sell it more wholesale,
A lot of the
things like that.
breweries in Charlotte and around, they have
They do both, yeah.
Yeah,
both, you know.
yeah, they do.
so that's what I'm saying, is this, whatever
The
your
wholesale
wording
part
is.
is separate from the,
Like the with or without is like making it more of a flexibility. If they want to be able to do that up front and sell up front and be able to have more traditional brewery, they can, but also the without is they can just have a production operation without selling stuff up front.
Okay.
Where they would sell to a
Yeah, where
bar
you'd sit
or
at the
sell to a
bar, yeah,
restaurant or
yeah.
grocery store or
but it's,
whatever.
it's a great opportunity for Stallings to have a place to go, you know, destination.
God, I wish we had some place to go.
Yeah.
Got to travel pretty far.
Besides happens.
But it's Steady Eddie's, you know, that's.
Yeah.
I've never been there.
Never been there.
My neighbor went there actually. He went steady.
I've heard they got good wings, but
So kind of getting back on track here, if you don't mind, I just wanted to list through the staff recommendations, so the staff does recommend approval of text amendment 230102. The reasoning is that the request is consistent and reasonable with the Stallings Development Ordinance and future land use plan. This text amendment promotes more commercial development opportunities in the town center, business center, and industrial zoning districts. And this amendment also utilizes the guiding principles of diversified development and the comprehensive land use plan. Next, is for you all to make a motion.
Any other questions?
Do you have any more questions for me?
Motion to approve or deny?
I make a motion to approve.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Pass.
So it's just the two, sorry, we already approved it, never mind.
Right.
You can answer any question, you can answer more questions after.
Well, those two districts, TC and,
Town center, there's which districts?
Industrial, business.
There's industrial,
town.
business center, and town center,
oh, the industrial, okay.
yeah.
I would like to see the addition of the, like you said, the food addition, but if there's nothing prohibiting it, then I don't see a problem, because it would still come back for,
Yeah, if need be, we could bring a text amendment, just make a
Maybe.
separate
I
line.
would say, just kind of think about, restaurants are allowed by right in our use table, and then they also serve alcohol as a supplemental accessory use, but it doesn't specifically state that.
yeah, I think as long as this doesn't prohibit it outright, then it
I
should be
think we
good.
should actively pursue it.
Well, then you can
Start putting
walk to
signs
the
up.
owner and tell them, "This is some food truck."
It's now approved, come.
So you're saying, Max, that we don't you don't need to put anything in the
I don't think so.
ordinance? Okay.
Oh, yeah, and then the,
All you need to read is what's on the thing, you don't have to read the whole consistency statement. You can just read the slide.
Oh.
Statements.
oh yeah, the statement is proposal, or the proposal is consistent and reasonable with the comprehensive use plan.
With the following, because of staff's just reasoning as well. You have to have a
Along
reason.
with staff suggested.
Oh, yeah, along with the staff suggested reasoning.
Okay.
Sorry.
Fine.
It's
Those
been
are
a long
suggestions.
day.
All in favor?
It's been a long
I
day.
second that. and-
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, passed.
I'm brain fried.
Okay, the next big thing is adjournment. Do I hear a motion to deny or approve?
I make a motion that we adjourn for the evening.
Second?
Second.